casting here. I'm going to show you guys today how to cast a baitcaster. First, obviously, what you want is to have whatever like rod is good for you and reel is good for you, but you don't have to get too expensive, especially if you're a beginner. Alright, so this is one of my beginning rods. I got this as a gift from my friend. The rod is a Berkeley lightning rod, and the reel is a Abu Garcia Black Max, and it's 6:4 to 1 gear ratio. Now, depending on how fast you want to reel in or how slow, if you get it fast, I recommend 7:1 to 1, or slow like in the 5s or something. Depends on how fast you want to fish it. All right. In order to understand how to cast a baitcaster, you need to know how to use the reel, obviously. So I'm going to show you what's on the reel and what you need to understand as far as the reel. So right here is what we call the braking system. Now, if it's really windy outside, you're going to want to keep this on max, which I already have it on max. If it's not so windy outside, if it's calm, you can lower that. So all the way to 0. Or whatever is your reel. I personally always keep it on max, unless it's really, really calm out and I really don't need it. But I personally always have it on max. Next up is the knob right here, right beneath the drag system, right there. That predicts how fast your bait will sink in the water. If you have it all the way down, it will sink fast. If it's all the way up, it will sink really slow. If you have it in the middle, it will sink moderate. Right here is the drag, right there. To loosen it, it will loosen your drag, obviously, and to tighten it, it will tighten your drag. What that is when you have a fish on the line, when you set the hook, and there's a fish on there, what that will do is this right here, give line. And if you have it all the way tightened, it won't give us so much line. Personally, what I like to do is when I frog fish, I like to keep this all the way tight when I'm frog fishing. And I like to use 50-pound braid. Some people go up to 65. I rather have 50 because you can cast further with that. And right now I have a black and blue jig. I think this is a KVD jig with like I have in the previous video, the crawfatty. I cut it a little bit, if you can see that. Alright, now that you understand the reel and everything pretty much on it, the basics, and the rod, you don't really need a too expensive rod. Just, something from Walmart if you're a beginner, or Dick's or something like that. You don't really need to go too in depth with the price. Alright, now what you want to do, is when you go to cast, you click in this button right here, right? So you click it in, and if you don't put your thumb on it, on the line, the bait will fall completely. But what you want to do is click this in, like that, and you want to feather the line with your thumb. So feather it, don't push it in because then it won't cast, just feather it. And then when the bait hits the water, put your thumb on the line so it stops. So I'll give you a demonstration right now. Just like this, keep your bait about right there. Alright? Do exactly what I'm about to do. And then put your thumb back on the line. Now, if you don't, I think I just had a bite. Nope. I might have had a bite, I don't know, it was probably just something in the way, but I'll probably go back out there and catch it, hopefully. Alright, anyway, like I said, if you don't, sorry about the plane, it's passing over right now, but anyway, if you cast it out fully, and you don't stop the line when it hits the water, you don't put your thumb on the line before it hits the water, this is what's going to happen. And you just let it drop. I'm not going to do that because what's going to happen is it's going to mess up your reel. Put it like that. It's going to mess up your reel. You're going to get backlash, bird's nest, a bunch of stuff. Alright. And like I said, you could pretty much use anything on a baitcaster. Pretty much use anything. You can use anything from frogs to jigs to spinner baits to chatterbaits to buzz baits. You can even use normal worms if you want, normal sankos if you want to. I mean, sometimes you might have to put a tungsten weight or something on those, like if you use a ribbon tail. But it could still work. The difference, I get also this question a lot. Well, why does it matter if I use a spinning reel over a spinning rod? Or over a baitcaster? The baitcasters are able to handle heavier line and more of that. How do I explain it? Like more intense fishing. Like if you want to say, the spinning rods, for example, they handle the lighter line, and they're more for like finesse fishing, and they handle sankos better than baitcasters, put it like that. So if you want to like start getting into like jigs and everything, I do recommend baitcasters, and I do recommend this rod and reel. It's never failed me at anything. It's pretty good so far, so I do recommend it. And I'll show you one more demonstration of how to cast this baitcaster. Now, like I said, remember, I'll go over everything real quick. Braking system, keep it on max when it's windy, and you can lower it if it's not windy. Drag, tighten it to, make it tighter, let less line out, and loosen it to let more line out. Oh yeah, and the gear ratio, I think I already talked about that. If you want it faster, if you want the quicker retrieve, you get like 7:1 or anything like that, and if you want the slow retrieve, you get under 6:4, and 6:4 is like in the middle, so that's pretty good. And then if you want the bait to sink faster, sink slower in the middle, then you move this up and down. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to cast this one more time. Remember, click the button so it's ready to cast. Then keep your thumb on the line until you're ready to cast. And when you go to cast, feather the line. So don't keep it on the line like tight to where it stops like that. Keep it like a little bit above, but to the point where like you're not creating any problems, you're just feathering it, you see? But a little lighter than that, obviously. And when it hits the water, stop your line so you don't mess anything up. Alright, I'll show you how to do that one more time. Like I said, the button. And some people, depending on who you are, I personally cast with both hands. Some people cast with one hand and go like that, but I personally do with both. And I do sidearm. I do overhand depending on like the space, but my preference is sidearm. Like my preference is side casting instead of going like this. Some people cast like that. Some people cast like this. I cast like this. But I can cast both ways. It just my preference is this way. So click the button in. Keep your thumb on the line, and then let go and feather the line. And put your thumb on the line when it hits the water. Then when you go to reel in, the button comes right back up. And you're ready to reel in. That's it for today's episode, guys. That's how you cast a baitcaster. Remember, like I said, you don't need the expensive stuff, especially if you're new. But I do recommend, like, once you start fishing tournaments and stuff, to, have your better rods in hand. But yeah, that's how you cast. And if you have any questions, any help, or anything, leave it in the comments. I'll try to get back to you guys. Yeah. Keep it here at Addicted to Bass 98, and I'll see you guys next time.